welcome to the Perry Fam. Today's video is going to be all about my 2-week wait symptoms as well as testing out the HCG from the trigger shot. So I'm going to rewind a little bit back to December 2nd, which is the day that I had my follicles checked prior to doing the trigger shot. If you want to watch the full video on that appointment and that whole week of taking the Femara, I'll link it in the cards above, as well as the HCG trigger shot video. Both of those will be in the cards. If not, I will also link them in the comments below. So I went in on December 2nd at 9:15 and I was told that I had a 27 millimeter follicle and a 17 millimeter follicle. And I went home that night and triggered. So what I've written down are all the symptoms from that day or two after the trigger all the way through today. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at all the notes that I took. So I started jotting down my notes at 2 days past trigger, which was 1 DPO. And DPO stands for days past ovulation if you are new to trying to conceive. But one thing that I do want to mention is that the day of my follicle check, all the way through about, I'd say day 3 DPO, I felt like there was a golf ball replacing my ovary. And what I mean by that is that my ovary felt extremely heavy. And every time I got up and walked somewhere in my office or even just around the house, I could feel my ovary kind of bouncing with every step. And I know that might sound really weird. And if any of you guys have experienced that ovary heaviness to the point where you can feel it, it wasn't painful. It was just like someone had tied a weight on my ovary. Please let me know in the comments below, because I feel like I'm the only one that's experienced this, because I couldn't find anybody else in the other YouTube channels or Instagram and Facebook forums, or even any of my friends that had experienced that same type of feeling in their ovary. So 2 days past trigger and 1 DPO, I was feeling the ovary heaviness on my left side, as well as a little bit of pelvic pain or cramping in the middle of my pelvic area. 3 days past trigger and 2 DPO, it was the same, the dull cramping and then the ovary heaviness. So I'm gonna skip down to 5 days past the trigger and 4 DPO. I started to experience a little bit of gas and then occasional breast pain on my left breast. It wasn't anything that was super concerning. It was just a little dull pain. Now, 6 days past the not transfer, sorry, I'm not doing IVF, guys. 6 days past the trigger, and 5 DPO. This was December 8th. I started to feel extra phlegmy just in my throat. I haven't needed to blow my nose. I haven't been sneezing. It's just that I'm feeling like I constantly have something in my throat that needs to be cleared. I also started to experience acid reflux that night. And it was only for 2 nights that I had the acid reflux, which is not usual for me. I don't tend to take a lot of medications. So I don't take Tums. I don't take any Pepto. So the acid reflux was definitely just a little off for me. And then I continued with the dull pelvic pain. And then I did have a little bit of constipation on that day as well. And I believe the 8th was Saturday. So my husband and I did spend the entire day walking around Disney. We didn't really go on any rides because I was trying to just keep it low key. So we did just walk around, looked at all the Christmas decorations, and I'll try to insert a couple of the pictures as well, just so you guys can get a look at how I was trying to keep my mind occupied during this 2-week wait. On 7 days past the trigger, which was 6 DPO, this is Sunday, I was still feeling phlegmy, but I was also feeling, actually, this isn't Sunday. This is Monday. I'm just a little ahead of myself. So this morning I woke up super starving, which is not normal for me. Usually I get ready in the morning, I let all my dogs out. Once I head to work, might be like an hour and a half after I get to work before I actually eat, which is like 4 hours into my day at this point. But I woke up starving. Like I needed food right then and there, which was a little odd. And then the cramping started to get a little bit more intense, but not as much as period cramping, and I was able to get through my day. And then towards the end of the day, I did start to get a dull headache. Mind you, I am in front of a computer all day, but I try to do my best to keep that like light headache to a minimum. I don't usually get headaches, and if I do, it's from a motorcycle accident I had several years ago, and just like muscle tension from my back being sore. But this was more like on the top of my head, which some people might say it could be from me being in front of the computer all day, but I do have the blue light filtering glasses, and then I also turn off the blue light on my computer to try to minimize that exposure to the blue light. So I'm not sure what that headache may have been from. I'm not a big like soda or coffee drinker, which is good. I just have I do drink these for my caffeine, and it's only got 45 milligrams per can. And I am still drinking these. My RE did say it was okay while I was trying to conceive to have under 60 milligrams of caffeine. So I've just been having like one of these in the middle of the day, and I had already, or not had already, but I had just opened it. So it wasn't like a caffeine withdrawal type headache either. So I'm not quite sure where that headache was coming from. And then 8 days past trigger, which was yesterday at 7 DPO, I started to experience like a really sweet craving. And my husband and I have been doing keto, so things that are sweet, and I've never been a sweets eater either. Like I don't like a lot of candy. I don't eat a lot of chocolate. I've never been like a cupcake and cake and frosting type of person. Honestly, I'm very bland. I just eat vanilla ice cream. And that's if I even feel like having dessert. And creme brulee is probably one of my favorite desserts, which is a little on the sweeter side, but it's like a rare occasion that I have anything sweet. So I did notice that I was craving butterscotch crimpets, which is like a tasty cake that's very butter and caramelized type flavor. It's hard to explain unless you've actually had one. But my grandmother, when I was younger, used to keep them in her refrigerator in Pennsylvania. It's like a very Pennsylvania thing. And I had a partner that sent a box of stuff actually from Pennsylvania of all the different goodies, and that was in there. And I don't know if it was just a craving because I could be pregnant, or if I just hadn't had one in a while, and the fact that they were just sitting right there in front of me, I was like, oh, I have to have one of these. I did try to eat other things before I opened that tasty cake. I had, as weird as this might seem, carrots and queso as a snack. I did eat some hard-boiled eggs. I had something to drink, but that tasty cake was calling my name. So I did eat one of those, and then I felt a lot better. I did notice that I started to have more of a heavy, sticky discharge, which is not usual during this part of my cycle. And then as well as my temperature started to go up. Now I haven't been taking my basal body temperature every morning. I did that prior to taking Letrozole just so I kind of understood where my temperature was going throughout the month. But I came home from work and noticed that I was just feeling a little bit warm to the touch, warmer than usual. And I took my temperature. Battery dies on my first thermometer. My second thermometer, I was like, no, this can't be right. I don't have a fever. Then I tried one of the ear thermometers that I had, and I think that one's just a piece of crap because it told me my temperature was like 96.2. So that was way off. I actually ended up leaving, going to Publix and buying a new thermometer because I didn't trust the two that I had, especially because one of them, the battery died as I was testing. And my temperature was 99.6. And then within an hour, it did come back down to like 98.8, which was still high because my normal temperature is about 97.4 to about 97.8. So it was still about a degree high for my highest. So I did jot that down. I'm not sure if that means that I'm coming down with something or if it's a symptom of that trigger shot, even though it's pretty much out of my system at this point. And then this morning, I did check my basal body temperature. It was at 98.8, so it was still a little bit higher than usual. And then about 10 a.m., I did take my temperature again, and it was back up to that 99.5. And I am still feeling like I've got that mucus in my throat and that I constantly need to clear it. So I'm just going to keep an eye on that. Hopefully it doesn't mean that I'm getting sick, and I'm going to try to keep my temperature down. I'm not taking anything for it. I'm just making sure that I don't bundle myself up and stay too warm and let my body kind of just do what it's naturally supposed to do and release that heat. So that's my first week of the 2-week wait. I've been trying to keep myself occupied. I've been trying not to Google every single symptom, which for those of you that have been through your first 2-week wait, you know how much that can, just weigh you down. So that's definitely been a feat in its own. I've been trying to talk to some of my friends that have been pregnant, but most of them, actually all of them, haven't gone through what I'm going through with taking medication and having to do the trigger shot. So they don't exactly understand what I'm going through. So that can get a little frustrating at time. And I do look to my family on Instagram and on Facebook to, just help me through this time. My husband doesn't understand it either. I mean, he's going through it on my side too. But when I try to explain to him, how I'm testing out the trigger shot or how the ovulation, the OPK sticks work, he just doesn't understand. And he's got a lot going on too with work, and trying to get him to understand everything that I've been putting down on paper, it's just not going to happen. So I'm also going to insert a clip. I'm going to insert a clip of my HCG test that I took every morning, so you can see me testing out the trigger shot, how it came from, pretty positive test the day after the trigger, and then all the way through to today, where it is just a very, very faint line. So I'm hoping that tomorrow I actually get a negative test. And I know some of you are like, oh, why do you want a negative test? But for those of you that haven't had to do the trigger shot, you get a positive pregnancy test even if you aren't pregnant, because that hormone is in your system, and you have to test it out and let it completely go negative. And then when you start that second week of the 2-week wait, if you start to get a faint line coming back and it gets darker, then that means that you are pregnant. So that's what I've been doing. I've been testing it out to make sure that when I do see that positive, when I test next week, that at least I know it is a true positive and it is not from the HCG trigger shot. Now for me, it took about 9 days for the trigger shot to start to fade out of my system. And everybody is different. It just depends on the dosage that you are taking. I did mine in my belly, and some people do it in their muscles. Sometimes you have to get it done in your butt. So it really just depends on how you're taking your trigger shot, and then as well the dose of it and how quickly your body metabolizes it. So I'll probably be looking at about day 10 for it to be fully out of my system. And I know a lot of people usually start early testing about that day. So it's going to be really hard for me to wait until the weekend to start taking one of those early pregnancy tests just to see. I am having a holiday party with all of my friends this weekend, so it's going to be really hard not to drink and just to make it past that weekend. So I'm hoping that either before the party or maybe the next day or two after the party that I find out that we are actually pregnant. So that's it, guys. Those are all the symptoms that I've been feeling over the last week. I'm going to continue to track my symptoms over the next week, but I wanted to make sure that I gave you guys an update and shared with you how I am testing out the trigger shot, as well as some of the things that I have been feeling over this first week, whether they are early signs of implantation and pregnancy, or if it's just a trigger shot being in my system. We'll definitely see in the next week. So if you guys want to see more content like this, please like this video. Go ahead and subscribe to keep yourselves updated on my journey. You can also head over to my Instagram account. I am giving more daily updates as to how I am feeling and what's kind of going on with my journey. And I look forward to hearing from you guys. Please drop a comment below if you guys have experienced any of the things that I had talked about. And if you haven't, please let me know what you had experienced, because we can have different symptoms throughout our 2-week wait. I look forward to hearing from you guys. Have a good day.